A new era begins. The FIA GT1 World Championship features 24 cars, split between 12 teams and involving 6 iconic brands. Aston Martin is represented by the young driver team of Thomas Enger and Darren Turner in one car, and Christoph Nygaard and Stefan Mucker in the other. While Hexis Racing AMR have chosen Clivio Piccioni, Jonathan Hershey, Fred Makovici and Philippe Dumas. Corvette, style and substance. Represented by Mad Crop Racing, former Grand Prix driver Mika Salo joins Pertti Kusmanen, while Dutchman Xavier Masson is teamed up with rapid German Alex Muller. Phoenix Racing Carsport have Mike Hasemans teamed with Andrea Piccini, Andrea Zuber with Mark Hennerisi. Ford is back with a 5.3-litre V8 GT. Martech have cars for former Renault F1 driver Romain Grosjean with Thomas Much, and for Swiss lady racers Natasha Gashnang and Cindy Alman. The Belgian Mark VDS Racing team features Bas Leinders, Maxime Martin, Marcus Baltala and Renault Coupens. Lamborghini is a part of the Italian passion. Reiter runs the cars of Peter Cox and Christopher Haas, plus former FIA GT champion Ricardo Zonta and Rafael Daniel. The AlInkle.com lineup sees a wealth of GT experience in Thomas Jaeger, Mark Basseng, Nicky Pastorelli and Dominic Schwager. Maserati, stars of GT racing in the noughties. GT1 title holders Vitaphone run reigning champions Bartels and Bertolini, plus former Arrows F1 driver Enrique Bernoldi with Miguel Ramos. Triple H Team Hagersport run experienced pairing Matteo Bobby and Bert Longin, together with team boss Alfred and DTM racer Alex Margaritis. And Nissan brings the brilliant GTR to the party. British team Sumo Power runs Warren Hughes alongside former GT champion Jamie Campbell-Walter, and European stars from Japanese GT Michael Krum and Peter Dumbreck. While the Swiss racing team sees another former champion in the shape of Karl Wendlinger alongside Henry Moser, and former Le Mans winner Seiji Ara with Max Nielsen. Our final lineup in a list of 48 world-class competitors.
Yesterday our car was at the top, so yeah, I'm obviously very happy about that.
I hope to repeat wins and fight for the championship now with the Maserati.
We look quite fast and the car looked very balanced, so let's see in qualifying.
Now I think this new GT championship is going to be frantic all the way from the start to the end.
I like a lot the cars, especially my Corvette, and yeah, I hope we will be quick.
The battle of the brands starts right here in Abu Dhabi on the magnificent Yas Marina circuit, before flying back to Europe and becoming the first series to use the revised Silverstone Grand Prix circuit in the UK. The tree-lined hills of Brno in the Czech Republic host round 3 of the FIA GT1 World Championship, and that's followed by a flat-out blast close to the south coast of France at the superb Paul Ricard. Spa-Francorchamps is next, the longest circuit on the calendar and one of the most demanding, followed by the dips and climbs of the Nürburgring in Germany. The European element concludes at Portimao on the Algarve. And then the globe-trotting begins for real, an all-new street track in Durban, South Africa. And that's followed up by a trip across the Atlantic to the Interlagos circuit in Brazil. It all reaches its climax at San Luis in Argentina, the 10th and final round of the FIA GT1 World Championship. The magnificent Yas Marina circuit in Abu Dhabi hosts round one of the FIA GT1 World Championship. Hello and welcome to the Battle of the Brands as great GT manufacturers go head to head in the first of two races this week. Six iconic brands all battling away. 4 cars for each brand, 24 cars on the grid, a total of 48 top-line drivers, many with Formula 1 experience. We've got 7 ex-Grand Prix drivers involved in the driver lineup here this weekend. Plenty of GT champions amongst them as well. Great to see the crowd also getting right behind this new initiative of the GT1 World Championship. And Danny, we couldn't have come to a better place than this Yas Marina circuit. It is absolutely superb. Let's hear now from Haley on the grid.
Stefan, it certainly is great to see the Lamborghini part of the World Championship.
Yeah, first race, perfect setting here in Abu Dhabi. The FIA GT1 as a formula is very well fitting to Lamborghini. It's a worldwide championship. We have a big audience, and for Lamborghini, for the engagement, is exactly the right formula.
Are you excited about the race? Are you confident?
I'm confident and I'm excited. I wish the teams all the best. Naturally, Lamborghini should be among the first, and we will see.
Thank you, Stefan.
You're welcome.
Thank you, Haley. Haley Coxon, our reporter down there on the grid. She'll also be keeping up to date with all the changes as they happen throughout this race. Danny, I was saying what a circuit this is to come to, the Yas Marina track. Perfect way to start the championship.
Absolutely. 5.54 kilometres in length, 1.2 kilometre back straight, anti-clockwise layout, 43 gear changes per lap and a top speed of 275 kilometres an hour. We had the privilege of going round when we arrived here, and it really has got a mixture of every single different type of corner, which is making setup for all the engineers very, very difficult.
Pole position, that car, number 13, but we've got a problem already, sadly, for one of the Maseratis. That's their Triple H Team Hagersport car, due to be started by Bert Longin, sharing it with Matteo Bobbi, and it's being pushed out already. So sadly, they were due to start on the 8th row of the grid, but it doesn't look as though they'll be starting from there. May well be able to get the car fired up and start from pit lane. We'll have to wait and see, but there's a lot of shaking of the head going on. Another car that appears to be still in pit lane, and maybe therefore, oh no, sorry, that's we're back on track now. So we're looking here at the second place car, Philippe Dumas driving this car, and this is a bit of a tall order. He is part team owner, he is team principal for Hexis Aston Martin Racing, but he's also team driver this weekend. We've got a little bit of a last-minute shake-up in the driver lineup there, and his teammate Frederick Makavicki did a fantastic job in qualifying to put that Aston Martin second on the grid. So he's now got to see if he can defend that position as well as possible. Just to let you know, in terms of the format, the way that qualifying worked, driver 1 ended up doing the qualifying yesterday. We had a truncated qualifying session due to the accident for Natasha Gashnang. She ended up breaking her leg in a horrific looking accident. She went off at the end of the long straight, but fortunately no other injuries. She will be out of racing for a little while, but obviously everybody wishing her a speedy recovery. So Gashnang went out, the red flags came out, and we had a shortened qualifying, and that meant that the Phoenix Racing Corvette took pole position. Andy Zuberer was at the wheel, but it's now his teammate Mark Kennerisi who will start this race, and it is driver 2 for all of the cars that will start the race. So they were all qualified by the other driver. They will switch over to that driver halfway through the race. Formation lap gets underway here in Abu Dhabi in preparation for race 1 this weekend, and it is that bright yellow Corvette that leads them away. And in fact, bright yellow Corvettes should be sandwiching the grid, but I see as the cars move away, no sign of the Mike Haseman's car. Now, whether we know that there was an engine problem on Mike Haseman's Corvette, and it doesn't look, Danny, as though they've actually been able to make it out there.
Yeah, they've had all sorts of problems with their engines all weekend. A couple of failures, 2 changes already, and it's an unfortunate start of the season for them.
So we're on board with the pole car, obviously following in behind the course car for this formation lap. There is the Mike Haseman's car, and as you can see, it doesn't look at all ready to come out and play in this race. They are still allowed to start the championship race later, but it will be from the back of the grid. Helmeted car, yeah, he's in the car, so they're obviously still trying they did know that they had a problem, and it's Andrea Piccini in the car. He's due to start this race. Mike Haseman's due to take over halfway through. Well, they would obviously be hoping that their man up here might slow the field down a bit.
Well, the thing was, they went really, really well in the morning warm-up, ended up quickest by 7/10, so the pace is clearly there, just reliability issues.
So, behind the Corvette, the Aston Martin, then the Vitaphone Maseratis, and these, we're on board with one of those Vitaphone Maseratis now. Of course, these cars have been, in some ways, the dominant force in FIA GT in recent years. Another car in the pits, oh dear, that's the number 41 Ford of the Mark VDS team, Marcus Paltala and Renault Coupens, and it was Renault Coupens due to start. He's in the car, so a couple of cars. It's been a short gap between warm-up and race one, but nonetheless, we would have hoped that they would have all made it out. On board here with Peter Dumbreck in the Nissan GTR, the V8 power purring away as he just warms the tyres a little bit. Despite the high temperatures, it is very warm here today, Danny.
It is. We've got an ambience of 35 degrees, track temperature currently around 55 degrees, and in-car 48 degrees. And you can just saw from the inboard camera, he's got a fan, the white fan pointing at him. It looks a little loose to me, moving around slightly, but yeah, these guys have got to put up with another between 25 and 35 minute stints before handing over to their teammate.
Absolutely right. It is a rolling start, so they will line up as they come across the line in grid formation, but it is a rolling start, and the leader has to keep to a speed of between 70 and 90 kilometers per hour until the start signal is given, until the lights go green, and then, of course, they can go hard down into that first corner, and we'll see how it goes from there. Now, a couple of guys I know that you want to keep a particular eye on in this race, Danny. Romain Grosjean is one of them, isn't he?
He is. He's been fast all weekend, topped the timesheets in the first two practice sessions. His teammate qualified the car, and it means he starts in P11. Someone else to watch out for, Stefan Mucker in the Aston Martin. He starts P20, but be assured he'll be coming through the field. Coming
across the section of track which goes beneath the Yas Marina Hotel, which is an absolutely magnificent structure that is becoming iconic with this track itself. Really is a beautiful facility, and the drivers enjoying themselves. Technical, it is technical, and a lot of 90-degree right and left-hand corners, a lot of first gear corners. Crucial to have good traction out of these bends. Only really a couple of fast sweeping bends, and there in the early part of the lap. And of course, be soon after the start that they get into those quick sweepers. They're now beginning to line up in formation then. The Phoenix Corvette up on the outside, the Hexis Aston Martin on the inside. The course car heads into pit lane. They've got one more corner to navigate before they come around onto the start-finish straight. And they're all taking it nice and steady for the moment. The FIA GT1 World Championship of 2010 gets underway as the lights go green, and it is the Corvette from pole position of Mark Enrici that makes a good start. The Maseratis are down the inside looking to gain places. Enrico Bernoldi spins! He spins in front of the pack, and the Corvette went wide as well, and we've got chaos at the first corner. Enrique Bernoldi in trouble into that first turn, and it's in fact it's Ramos, of course, driving that car. Yeah, it's the Bernoldi car, but it's Ramos, Miguel Ramos in that car at the moment, and he has spun. Also in trouble is the Aston Martin that was on the front row, Philippe Dumas. So we've got drama and chaos already, but up front the Corvette did get away. Mark Enrici is leading the race, did get away safely, but Danny, that was not the start that a lot of these cars needed.
Yeah, cold tyres, of course, so it's going to take a lap or two to get temperature into these tyres, but I think Miguel Ramos, first corner, do-or-die effort when you've got a whole hour, it's not what he wanted.
That was Bertie Kuzman and the teammates of Mika Salo also off. They had a third row starting position, so that's really disappointing for them. And up front then, it is the Corvette. Mark Enrici taking that pole position and making the most of his Corvettes 1 and 2. Maserati in third, safety car out on circuit. They've all backed off. No great surprise there. Smoke pouring off the car of Miguel Ramos, and it is Ramos in that car that was qualified by Enrique Bernoldi, and it was an aggressive move. It's sort of partly why I thought Bernoldi was in the car, because it was a late braking move. A lot of smoke pouring off the Darren Turner Thomas Enger car as well. That's Thomas in the car at the moment. Well, that's really disappointing for the young driver Aston Martin team. Damage done at that first corner, perhaps through turns 1 and 2, and really you don't want, this is exactly what they didn't want, to have into problems like this in the first race.
No, I spoke to Thomas Inge before the race, and all he wanted to do was get a real good result, solid result under the board. Let's have a look here at the Maserati on our right-hand side. As we look at it, he's lost it on the brakes on the entry to the corner. Very, very lucky to not take out the Corvette, who in fact goes very wide on the exit. Avoiding action behind, a little bit of contact. That's where Thomas Inge car got hit on the right rear.
Yeah, so that's where that damage was done. Here's Kuzmin, and I'm not sure quite... he's got the damage to the rear wheel. You can see it's well out of alignment there. So that's the car qualified by Mika Salo in 6th place. But the all-Finnish driver line up there is not going to get a good result in this first race. And there is Miguel Ramos limping around with that punctured left rear, desperately trying to get back to the pit. Quite a lot of cars in trouble, so it's got to be worth getting back to the pits if possible and trying to go back out. Trailed by Thomas Inge, both of them limping around, and really absolutely what the teams were hoping to avoid in the first race of the day. With 2 races in one day, the main points, of course, all being scored in the championship race later on. And now the teams have got some work to do to get them hopefully back out in this race, and particularly going for the points later on. It's a long lap though, so when you have a problem at the first corner like that, you have to limp a long way, Danny.
There's a lot of body damage to that right rear to the Aston Martin, and hopefully for them, if they can just move that bodywork away, change the tyres, all 4 tyres, he might be able to get back out there without losing a lap if he can get onto the back of the train behind the safety car.
Bodywork flapping all around the back. Look at that, the rear light smashed off. I wonder if it's done any damage to the gearbox in there as well. So really disappointing for Miguel Ramos, the Portuguese driver. He's experienced in the Maserati, racing the car last year, now teamed up with Enrique Bernoldi, as I say. And good job by Bernoldi in qualifying. Very, very impressive indeed. But obviously this changes things somewhat. Also into the pits, the number 23 Nissan, Peter Dumbreck at the wheel at the moment. And that's an early pit stop, so they must have had a problem as well.
Left rear puncher for them, looking at the flat tyre when the mechanics pushed it away.
Or Enger still limp, but he's not able to maybe get the whole distance. Struggling to get back to the pits, isn't he? And Ramos does look better off. Meanwhile, Corvette is up front, and Corvette's running 1 and 2 behind the safety car. The big question is, can these cars be repaired in time for the championship race later on today? Really, I don't think there's much prospect of that car getting out in this race, but with only a few hours to go to the championship race, that's important that he's got back to the pits, and that really will give the team a bit more time to try and sort things out. Well, let's just have a look at some of the other positions. Great first lap for Christopher Haas in the Peter Cox Lamborghini. Cox qualified it, but Christopher Haas at the wheel in 4th place. Into the pits comes Miguel Ramos then. And let's see what the crew do here. I mean, they're obviously going to change that wheel, but we'll have to wait and see if they're going to be able to repair. Look at all this damage around the back here. Yeah, no, it's no point in rushing, guys. There's too much damage here. All that rear bodywork section to be dealt with. So, and Danny, you're looking at the timing and scoring there. Who else has made good progress on that first lap?
Well, there has been a couple of drivers that have benefited well from that first lap. First of all, number 5, Romain Grosjean in the Ford GT. He's up to 5th from P11 on the grid, and also Stefan Mucker up to P8 from 20th on the grid. So he really did come through well and avoided all the carnage.
It's given a chance for this car, which was, if you remember, sitting in the pits at the start of the race, to come out and join the field. That's the René Koopmans car. So the Ford GT has now joined in, but it's going to have to catch the pack up. Another look at this. Miguel Ramos lost it on the brakes, down on the inside there, slides. Somehow is missed by those guys behind him, but it sort of creates a chain reaction, doesn't it?
It does, and Thomas Inge was the innocent party that got clipped by the spinning Maserati, which is what caused the damage to his car.
Great shame. Here's the view from on board the Nissan, the number 3 car, and he managed to sneak through there. That was a pretty good piece of avoidance. Henri Moser getting through on the inside, but other people were not so fortunate, as you say, in particular Thomas Inge. So we're on board here at the moment with Michael Bartels sitting in 3rd place. Let's get down to the pits, get some reaction from Miguel Ramos, his co-driver.
Enrique, a bit of bad luck for you at the start there, but it looks like Miguel is getting back out there.
Well, I think the way the car is now for this race is finished for us. Let's hope we can start the 2nd race.
So you are confident, you do feel the car will be ready for race 2?
I don't know. We have to see how much damage there is in the car. and then we can see if we can make it or not.
Thank you, Enrique.
So there's Enrique Bernoldi, quick in the car in qualifying, but Miguel Ramos just getting out of shape and unfortunately setting off that chain reaction, which has caused a safety car. The clock continues to tick away though. This is all part of the 60 minutes of this race. Thomas Enger has made it back into the pits at last, so the team again will be very relieved. They're going to have a good look around, I'm sure. It's a lot of damage. Mechanic pointing out some damage that he can see through the bodywork, and it looks as though that's another car that'll be starting way down the grid for the championship race, Danny.
Well, they're not rushing around, are they, the mechanics? So that looks like it's terminal for this race anyway.
Great pity, but there is the Miguel Ramos, Enrique Bernoldi car, the Maserati. It's going to be pulled back into the pit garage. They're not going to try and send him on his way. It's all about repairing it for later on today. So the clock ticks away up front. It's the Marc Henrici Corvette, the bright yellow car that did get away from pole, managed to avoid that Maserati, stayed in front. Alex Muller sitting in second place in the Mad Croc Racing Corvette, so they're really running quickly, but watch out behind them. Michael Bartels, reigning FIA GT champion in the Vitaphone Maserati. He's sitting in lurking, if you like, in that third place. Then it's Christopher Haas in the number 24 Lamborghini. And, well, this is a time that they've just got to take it easy, keep the concentration going, not get too carried away, just remain patient. On board here with Philippe Dumas, he lost out a lot at the start there. They were on the front row. He's now in 16th position. Philippe Dumas, he was tied up there somehow or other. So the Aston Martin, Aston Martin way down in, as I say, 16th place. And there were problems, as we saw, for the other Corvette, which will be driven by Mika Salo. Let's see what he's got to say.
Mika, have you had an update on the Corvette yet?
Excuse me?
Have you had an update on the car?
He just says he can't move it anymore, so I don't know. He stopped there. I don't know anything else.
So do you think you may have it covered for race 2, or do you think...
Sure, yeah, it looks like just the rear wheel is bent, so I didn't see exactly what happened, but there was a lot of damage in the first corner, which is the most stupid thing to do, to lose the race in the first corner.
I wish you luck. Thank you.
Mika Salo, a little bit sad that he won't be out in this race, but he will get to start the second race as long as they can get that car repaired. Of course, that one has stopped out on circuit, so it's going to take longer to get it back to the pits. So safety car remains out there for the moment, as everybody else lining up, but it will be coming in at the end of the lap. Behind the Lamborghini that we were talking about, being driven by Christopher Haas, is Romain Grosjean, sitting in 5th place in the blue Ford GT. There's Thomas Enger out of his young driver Aston Martin, and well, no doubt very disappointed to just be unable to avoid that Maserati as it all went mad in front of him. Great shame. Very experienced driver, reigning LMP champion with Aston Martin last year, but now in their GT1 car, teamed up with Darren Turner. Here we go then. Ready to go racing once again. The safety car has come back into the pit, and the race being led by Marc Henrici, as he did from pole position, chased now by Alex Muller in 2nd place. Michael Bartels in the Maserati, the turquoise and black car, looming in 3rd. Then the Lamborghini right behind him. We're on board with Bartels sitting in 3rd place in the Maserati MT-12, the car that has had so much success now. Some time to go in this race still. We've got driver changes, we've got a wheel change to encounter, but now at last, Danny, they can begin to stretch their legs.
Yeah, they're just going to let the race settle down now. Tyres still not up to full temperature, so probably taking it slightly easy, building heat into the tyres and brakes on this first flying lap. And it's been a couple of hours since the warm-up. The track conditions have changed. We've only had one other category out on circuit since, notoriously dusty and sandy, being in the middle of a desert.
Onto this long straight, it's time to adjust things, just the vents in particular. That's what Michael Bartels was playing with. And here comes Romain Grosjean in the blue Ford with the white stripe up the centre. Romain Grosjean raced here for Renault in Formula 1, of course, at the end of last year, having a good old go at getting past Christopher Haas, but he doesn't quite do it. Haas runs a little bit wide. Now Grosjean will cut back. Can he take the place of the number 5 Ford? Not quite yet, but he's still attacking, still trying to get past the Lamborghini. Ford GT versus Lamborghini, nothing to choose between them. Door handle to door handle, wonderful racing as Romain Grosjean puts all his single-seater experience to good use in the GT car, but he can't quite get through.
No, looking very, very racy as they go into 11, 12, 13, second, first gear corners there. Very slow speed, not much overtaking in this section unless somebody makes a mistake.
Stefan Mucker in the Aston Martin just jumped over the curve a little bit. That's the other young driver, Aston Martin, teammate to Thomas Enger. Look at these guys behind, and also trying to fight his way through is Rafael Daniel in the other Lamborghini. That car was qualified by Ricardo Zonta, but the number 25 Lamborghini there almost managing to get past the Aston Martin, the number 10 car, also pushing very, very hard at this stage. Just a bit further up, Bas Linders in that silver and red Ford GT. There he is, car number 40. He's under pressure from the number 33 Maserati as well, the Hager Sports car, and Alfred Hager, who is running the team and driving for the car this weekend as well. He's in that machine at the moment, and he's giving as good as he gets currently. There is Romain Grosjean then in the number 5 car, still not able to get past the Lamborghini of Christopher Haas, but it does look as though if he could get through, he's capable of going a little faster.
Absolutely, he's just going through the high-speed section there of turns 2 and 3. It comes downhill now. 50-metre elevation drop into the chicane. This is second gear. Lots of curb hopping here just to straight line it into the hairpin, and this is where he really needs to set himself up to get a great exit onto the back straight.
Well, he's got it in a very wide, he's cut back deep, good exit, it looked pretty promising. Now it's a horsepower battle down this long, long straight as they change up through the gears, and he's got the slipstream now. Can he convert it into a real overtaking attempt? He moves to the inside, but covers the inside line, gets onto the more dusty part. Grosjean's going to go to the outside. Oh, really late on the brakes, and I think he's done it. Wonderful move there by Romain Grosjean, winner of course of races in GP2. He was the Asian GP2 champion. Then he got that chance at Renault Formula 1 at the latter part of last year. He is loving this Ford GT, and he's now moved into fourth position.
Yeah, well, we've seen over the past 2 days in the practice sessions, he's been quickest in both sessions, so adapted very, very quickly to this 1,200 kilo car, 600 brake horsepower. I think what we'll see now is it'll close down on the group in front.
On the attack, and in the background, I'm sure I saw Stefan Mucker also trying to move up, currently sitting in 8th place in the Aston Martin, but can Romain Grosjean now capture the top 3? Yes, there we are. We've got the Ford GT of Bas Linders there in that next little group. It's actually Maxime Martin in the car at the moment. Maxime Martin, with right behind him now, Stefan Mucker. So Mucker has got past Alfred Hager, the Aston Martin, the young driver Aston Martin, the white car with red flashes on it. That has gained a place, and now it's putting Maxime Martin in the Ford GT under pressure. What's going on further back? Well, keep an eye on all the other battles. The Nissan's not showing quite so well at the moment. There are 2 of the Nissans. The number 22 car of Jamie Campbell-Walter. Oh, there was a mistake behind him. That was Henri Moser, and was caught out by that number 3 car, and he's under a bit of attack himself here, so he's got to be careful as they come over the line. And Dominic Schwager, that is, trying to get past him in the Alninkel.com Lamborghini. Following through, we've got the other Nissan of Max Nielsen in that little group as well, as we ride on board with Henri Moser. And this little group of cars really fighting very hard indeed. Jamie Campbell-Walter, they're all just outside the top 10 here, all desperately trying to improve their grid position for the championship race. 45 minutes to go in this first race of the GT1 World Championship. And remember, the pit lane doesn't open up until 25 minutes of the race have passed. So these drivers stay in the cars for a little bit longer yet, and then decide which of the, in that 10-minute pit window, they decide to come in. Maxime Martin in the car he shares with Bas Linders comes through. He's still sitting pretty well. He's just been passed. Stefan Mucker. Stefan Mucker gains that position, and that brings him up into 6th place now. This Aston Martin going well in the race so far, Danny.
Yeah, they found a good balance on that. Struggled a little bit earlier on in the practice sessions yesterday, we saw, but have made a lot of changes overnight. Looks a much, much more competitive prospect now, and Stefan Mucker, we all know how good he is.
Yeah, very, very quick driver is Stefan, and he's making the most of some good pace from the Aston Martin. Now then, what's going on further back? Little battle between the Lamborghini and 2 Nissans. The number 22 car is Jamie Campbell-Walter, and we're back on board Henri Moser here, who's just behind Campbell-Walter. So not much to choose between them. Alfred Hager, meanwhile, on the attack as well. So as they come through, there's the number 22 car, Jamie Campbell-Walter. The car he shares with Warren Hughes, a British team there, Sumo Power. But right behind them is another Nissan run by the Swiss racing team. On board here with Henri Moser the car he shares with Carl Wendlinger.
Yeah, Romain Grosjean in the Ford GT on that last lap, setting the fastest lap of the race with a 2-minute 8.973, so he's flying.
Yeah, good stuff, and see whether he can close up any further on Michael Bartels. Still on board Henri Moser, sitting in 13th position currently, chasing 12th placed Jamie Campbell-Walter, and then both of them sitting in behind the number 37 car of Marc Basseng. That's the Alincourt Lamborghini there, number 37, Marc Basseng at the wheel. The experienced GT racer doing a good job of fending off these big Nissans, much taller cars, of course, the Nissan GTR than the low-slung Lamborghini Murcielago. Different characteristics, they'll be quick in different places around the circuit. And Danny, what we've got to think about is they might react differently as the race progresses. The Mike Hazelman's Corvette is on track now, so you've got two yellow Corvettes out there. He's way down on laps, of course. He started from the pit lane, and that means Henrici is out in front by 2.3 seconds. Alex Muller in the black Corvette there with the Rima markings on the front in second place. Bartels, car number 1, that's the third place car. There's Romain Grosjean right with them now. As you said, he's caught up hugely. So you've got second, third and fourth all together there. The yellow car at the front of that shot. Call that for the moment as Grosjean tries to get past Michael Bartels. The Ford GT has got alongside the Maserati. They go side by side. He slips down the inside. Beautiful manoeuvre. Romain Grosjean is on a charge.
Yeah, what a difference a year makes, eh? And we've been seeing in the practice sessions, Romain Grosjean really enjoying himself, smiling in all the interviews. Onboard shots show him sideways everywhere. In fact, he had a little spin in the second session yesterday, but really getting on top of this car, getting to grips with it.
Michael Bartels, for all the success he's had in the Maserati, maybe playing the long game, not prepared to get into a real confrontation with the young single-seater superstar who has made the switch across to GT1 World Championship. What an opportunity this is for Romain Grosjean. It's exciting for us too to have a young, hungry racing driver like this. Remember, he was going wheel to wheel with Nico Hülkenberg in GP2 just last year. Then he got that chance in Formula 1. Now he's finding himself in GT1 and determined to make the most of it. He's closing up to the back of Alex Muller in the Corvette. So the next question is, can the Ford GT get past this Corvette and move into second position?
Yeah, I'm quite surprised how hard he's pushed it in these early stages of the race. Every team gets 4 sets of new Michelins for the whole weekend. We've got 2 80-minute practice sessions, a qualifying session of 3 separate sections, warm-up of half an hour, and then 2 60-minute races. So there is a huge amount of track time. As he's looking around the outside, I'm sure he's going to do the cutback, try and get a good exit, and try and get him at the end of this long 1.2 kilometre straight.
On board with Bartels, who's sitting behind Grosjean. He's got a great view of Grosjean as the young Swiss driver goes on the attack. As he goes to the inside, he tries to, and he's squeezing along. He's on the white line. He doesn't care. He's on the dust, but there's no way that Alex Muller can defend that position. Into second place goes Romain Grosjean. Car number 5 for the Martech team, the team that really suffered yesterday in that horrible accident for Natasha Gachnang. She broke her leg and she's having to sit it out, and maybe she's getting a chance to watch what her teammate is doing, and hopefully she's going to make a swift recovery and be in the sister car. But Romain Grosjean is doing a superb job. Now, he's got past that yellow Corvette, but that one isn't the one that counts, because that car is way down. It started from the pit lane. It's the other yellow Corvette that he really wants to get past to win this race, and that car of Marc Henrici is some 3 seconds ahead, so quite a gap to close up. We are now with just under 40 minutes to go in this race, so the pit lane will open in about 5 minutes time, and that's when we'll see the first of the pit stops.
Yeah, trying to catch Henrici might be a bit of an issue though, because he's just set his quickest lap, and in fact the quickest lap of the race on lap 6, which was a 2-minute 8.9, so it might be a little bit more difficult for Grosjean now to bear down on him.
And of course, remember that Henrici will hand over to Andy Zuber, another ex-GP2 racer. He and Grosjean have plenty of experience of racing against each other, and it was Zuber who set the pole time in that bright yellow Corvette. So he's completely comfortable in the car, and they've got a very strong driver lineup, no doubt about it. Thomas Mutsch will take over from Romain Grosjean. He's fast in that car, but he hasn't shown perhaps quite the breathtaking pace that Romain Grosjean has so far this weekend. And remember, Grosjean really hasn't driven this car before, so he's adapted remarkably quickly.
And he also hasn't done any driver changes yet, so it'll be interesting to see how quick their driver changes.
This is the battle for third place now between the black Croc Racing, Mad Croc Racing Corvette and the turquoise and black Vitaphone Maserati. Michael Bartels at the wheel, reigning FIA GT champion, 3 times FIA GT champion in recent years. But now it's an all-new game to play in the GT1 World Championship, and that's what he wants to do, to get a good starting position for the second race, which is when the most points are on offer. Remember, you can be a hero in this race, but it'll simply put you on the front of the grid for the championship race. The points come really at the end of the championship race. You will get a few points if you're in the top 3 of this one. The majority of points come from the championship race. Still on board there with Michael Bartels as he continues to harry the back of that Corvette of Alex Muller. Looks pretty composed.
Pretty composed. We're getting a little bit warm, trying to get as much air through those tubes as he can. Don't forget, 48 degrees in the car. They've been in the car now the best part of half an hour, building up to the race also.
Now let's get some reaction from Martek Racing on the performance of Romain Grosjean.
Martin, Romain has certainly been delivering in the Ford GT.
Yes, I mean, this guy is doing an incredible job on the wheel at the Ford GT. Yes, I'm speechless. I mean, he carries the car on really like he would have been driven it for years. But it's his first time ever in a Ford GT this weekend. So amazing job.
And a bit of good luck for you as well.
Yes, thank you. We need it desperately, yes, this weekend, yes.
Thank you, Martin.
Thanks, Hayley. Yes, of course, Martin referring to the accident that Natasha suffered in the other car in qualifying yesterday. But Romain Grosjean is certainly doing well. Danny, how's he closing up? What's the gap looking like now?
Yeah, he's just pulled a second on him on that last lap. Pit window opens in 2 minutes. I can't see the team bringing him in that early because he's going that fast at the moment. They might keep him out till the very last minute with 25 minutes to go.
So the gap down to 2.1 seconds, as you say, between them, Henrici and Grosjean. That's the battle for the lead. Corvette versus Ford. That's the battle up front in this race 1 of the FIA GT1 World Championship. Sitting in third is Alex Muller. There he is in the number 11 Mad Croc Racing Corvette, and then behind him the number 1 car of Michael Bartels. And the Maserati, mid-engined car, of course, up against the front-engined Corvette immediately ahead. You might expect the mid-engined car to really use its balance, and the way it looks after its tyres might work for it at the latter part of the stint. But remember, when they come in to change driver, they will also change tyres.
Yeah, and also the other driver has to learn the circuit conditions, the grip levels as soon as they possibly can and get on it immediately out the pit lane. Of course, don't forget this circuit has a very unique pit exit.
Maxime Martin coming in behind Stefan Mucker there. So having lost that position earlier on in the race, it looks as though Maxime Martin sort of got the pace back again. Alfred Hager in the Maserati through next. Then Rafael Daniel, the Lamborghini. Here's a battle going on. Jonathan Hershey under pressure from Jamie Campbell-Walter. That's for 10th position at the moment. We're on board just behind that with Henri Moser. So this 3 cars now fighting for 10th place. And that will mean, of course, 10th place on the grid for the championship race. The pit window is going to be opening up soon. The clock ticking away, and we'll be at 25 minutes in just a second. Look at this. Jonathan Hershey defensive in the blue and silver Aston Martin. As he comes under pressure from Jamie Campbell-Walter, who's loving the Nissan, but can he find a way through? And then tucked right in behind is another Nissan. You're riding with him. It's Henri Moser. What are they thinking about at this point? How can they find a space?
Yeah, all the Nissans are starting to gang up on that Aston now, aren't they? Look at them all. Breathing right down his neck. I mean, the Aston, he just needs to keep it clean, keep it tidy, no mistakes, and it will make it so much harder for them to overtake.
Pit window has opened up, so will they use that fact to get themselves out of traffic? Surely one of these 4 Nissans will be brought into the pit. We're seeing a beginning of pit visitors already. The number 24 Reiter Lamborghini of Christopher Haas has just come in to hand over to Peter Cox. So already we're seeing some change. Here we go. 2 of the Nissans are straight in. Henri Moser will be handing over to Carl Ventlinger, and then right behind him it looks like Peter Dumbreck, I think, was also in. So we're going to see driver changes, pit stops taking place immediately as soon as the pit lane has opened up. This could easily change the complexion of the race, and there we are. Now, only 2 mechanics are allowed to change all 4 wheels, so it's a real effort, particularly in the heat that we've got here in Abu Dhabi with their full race suits on as well, to get these 4 wheels changed. Heavy wheels, of course. The two drivers helping one another. Henri Moser is out of the car. Carl Wendlinger jumps on board, and still Jonathan Hershey is keeping the remaining Nissans that haven't come into the pits. He's just about keeping them behind.
Yeah, and you saw the heat coming from the brakes of that Nissan in the pit lane there. This circuit is notoriously hard on brakes. There's two very, very long braking points here where you're going from 270 kilometres an hour down to 30 miles an hour in the corner.
Here's a chance for Jamie Campbell-Walter down the outside, braking as late as he can. Can he get turned in? Oh, he's a bit wide of the apex. Jonathan Hershey's going to try and come back. Jamie Campbell-Walter gets the second apex, gets on the power. Has he got on the power early enough? I think he has. He's got through. Good move into 10th place for Jamie Campbell-Walter, former FIA GT champion, back in the series, well, into GT1 now as it is, and now trying to follow him through there is Max Nielsen, another of the Nissan GTRs. Can't quite manage it there.
Yeah, the Aston's just starting to look a little bit oversteery. Maybe he's pushed his tyres a little bit too hard in the early stages of this race, and he's just starting to suffer with a bit of a sliding rear end to that Aston.
Yeah, so he'll be looking forward to changing over perhaps to his teammate Clivio Piccioni, and of course Clivio will have the advantage of a different set of tyres on the car. Race leader at the moment is Romain Grosjean, because I believe our former race leader has come into the pits. Also into the pits has come the number 1 Maserati. There it is. So Michael Bartels into the pits to hand over to Andrea Bertolini, and meanwhile the former leader has indeed been into the pits. Andy Zuber has taken over the bright yellow Corvette that was leading this race before the pit stop started to happen. Looking smooth so far. Meanwhile, we've got a battle of the Nissans on here as Carl Wendlinger now battling away with Peter Dumbreck. Of course, the two cars came in with their other drivers on board. Here they are, still racing hard against each other with their new drivers.
Yeah, slowing each other up there in the middle of the chicane. Went slightly wide in the middle part for Pete Dumbreck. They need to really get on top of the circuit now, learn the grip level on these fresh tyres, and get their heads down and try and chase the cars in front.
So, Romain Grosjean is leading this race in the Ford GT. He's got a useful advantage at the moment, but we're waiting to see when he comes into the pits, of course. How fast can he go in clear air? Driver change from Jamie Campbell-Walter to Warren Hughes, this all-British driver pairing in the only British team, British run team, Sumo Power. And meanwhile, another change going on here to number 25, right at Lamborghini. Ricardo Zonta taking over that car. Former Grand Prix driver Zonta, former FIA GT champion as well. Now at the wheel of that Lamborghini, let's see what he can do. Grosjean still out there at the moment, still putting in some quick laps, Danny.
Yeah, he's got the fastest lap of the race so far on a 2-minute 7.966, lap 9. He's currently 6.4 in the lead, looking very controlled. 5 minutes, just under 6 minutes left of the pit window. How late will they leave him out there?
Yeah, that's the question. Here he is then in that Martech Ford. He is giving it absolutely everything now to try and open up that lead and give them an opportunity to stay in front when Thomas Puch takes over the car in a little while. 7 races he did for the Renault Formula 1 team in 2009. Best finish was a 13th place in Brazil, so he didn't get into the points, but of course a race winner in GP2, the Asian GP2 champion of 2008. Before that he was European Formula 3 champion in 2007. Before that he was a Formula Renault champion. He has been successful at every level, and although that F1 opportunity might have just slipped away for the moment, now he's got this GT1 chance and he has grabbed it with both hands. 30 minutes on the clock, so there's still another 5 minutes, or nearly 5 minutes, that he can stay out there.
Yeah, just looking at that last lap, he was 2 seconds quicker than anyone. Okay, so a lot of other teams have changed and the drivers are just getting used to the cars and the conditions, but he's absolutely flying in that Ford GT.
Great drive so far. He's coming up to lap the number 38 Al Inkel Lamborghini. That is the car of Nicky Pastorelli and Dominic Schwager. Meanwhile, there's some more hard racing going on. Of course, the number 11 Corvette there, which was sitting in 2nd place or 3rd place before all the stops happened. Now under attack from the number 14 Corvette. Now that car, remember, is way down the pack because it started from the pit lane. So in a way, sort of unlapping itself, but interestingly getting mixed up with a car that is a potential podium finisher. So Mike Hazelman's, I think, at the wheel now of that number 14 car, just determined to show what it can do. Meanwhile, Clivio Piccioni takes over the number 10 Aston Martin here. Guys are ready, and away he goes. And picking up the dust from the working lane into the fast lane of the pits. And down through the tunnel, this unique pit exit that sees them plunge underground, curving round to the left and then rejoining the circuit around turn 2 and 3. So, still the Nissans enjoying their own private battle. Warren Hughes in car number 22, fighting off the Japanese driver, Seiji Ara, former Le Mans winner, and they're running in 15th and 16th places, and it looks like they're all tied up behind the Lamborghini of Rafael Daniel, number 25 Lamborghini, as I say, sitting in 12th position. Still some pits, and Romain Grosjean, I'm just looking out of the window, I can see that Romain Grosjean has just come into the pits. So a crucial pit stop coming up now as the race leader, there he is, in the Ford GT. Romain Grosjean, what a superb stint that was. And they've gone 30 minutes, they've gone almost exactly halfway in this race. Now, it's up to the guys to change those 4 wheels as efficiently as possible as well. That could be the determining factor. Looks like a scrub set airline getting a little caught up. Maybe not looking quite as slick and rehearsed as some of the teams. This is a real work of art, trying to get these 4 tyres changed with just 2 guys. And that is the defining factor on these pit stops. The clock is ticking away. Where is the Corvette? That's what we're going to be keeping an eye on, of course. The Andy Zuber Corvette is just coming up through the last corner. The Ford GT's on its way down the pit lane at the 60km/h pit lane speed limit. Here comes the Corvette then. Where is the Ford GT? Which of these 2 cars is going to be in front? It's in the tunnel at the moment. The pit lane exit, you can see on the left-hand side. Watch out for that Ford. Where is it? Let's see. There he is, just coming out the tunnel. The Corvette stays in front. The Corvette will be in front of the Ford GT, and Andy Zuber has done enough in those laps that he's taken over from Henrici to stay in front, Danny.
Yeah, well, just as we pulled away from the pit stop, Thomas Much stalled it, and in fact lost a lot of time trying to restart and get the car going again. So that's where the time was lost.
Well spotted. Oh, what a shame that was. And Zuber's just set in this yellow Corvette the fastest lap of the race, a new fastest lap, 2 minutes 7.157, blistering pace. Thomas Much, there he is in 2nd place now in that Ford GT, a very experienced GT racer himself in his 3rd year of racing the Ford GT, and there, a stint. What a superstar this guy is. A little disappointed, I think, that his teammate hasn't been able to get out in front of the yellow Corvette. But I tell you what, he has certainly made a great show for us, Danny, hasn't he?
Yeah, and he looks like he's really enjoying himself as well, doesn't he? Coming from P11 on the grid to lead the race quite healthily, so a good stint there. But they've got a lot of work to do now to catch Zuber, another ex-GP2 driver, raced against each other, of course, in the past. And 2 minutes 7.1, his fastest lap on lap 13.
Yeah, that's great stuff. So the race leader is Thomas Much at the moment. Well, it's shown as much, but in fact that will change when they come back round past the line, because we know the Corvette is ahead, so Zuber is in effect ahead, and that'll all get updated when they come around the next time. So Much coming through this sort of midsection beneath the Yas Marina Hotel. Most of them have made their pit stops, so it'll all sort out in a while. But in the meantime, let's go and hear from the hero of the hour.
Romain, what an amazing stint.
Well, it was quite good. Good start. Good first rolling start of my life with a car. Last time it was go-kart in 2001, I think. And then, as I said since the beginning, the team Matek is doing a very good job. The car, the Ford, is very good to drive, and well, I did enjoy a lot my stint.
Are you experiencing any difficulties ever?
No, it was. Everything was fine. The car was working perfectly. It's a little bit hotter inside, but nothing special.
Yeah, that's something, Danny, he's got to get used to as a single-seater driver, switching across into one of these hot cockpits.
Yeah, I think if you're hot in a single-seater car, you can just lift your visor a centimetre, and that's job done. In this car, you've got a tiny little fan that's blown hot air at you. It's like holding a hairdryer to your face, and it's even probably better in some situations to actually turn it off. But of course, you're in your helmet, race suit, 3-layer Nomex race suit, underwear, helmet and gloves. There's so much. It's very, very hot in the cars.
Good battle going on for 5th place here between Peter Cox and Xavier Marson in the number 11 Corvette. His car has really lost some positions in the pit stop. Definitely one of the losers, that black or grey Madcrock racing Corvette, because remember, they were battling for a podium position, and now they've got work to do, but he's on the attack. He's trying to go down the outside of Peter Cox. Cox is such an experienced racer. Many years of touring car racing, as well as some 7 years as a Lamborghini driver. He knows where to put the car, and that makes life hard for Xavier Martin to get past, despite what is probably a performance advantage at the moment for the Corvette. We've seen how quick it is. They go across the support paddock pit area there, over that other grid, past the support pits. And again, Peter Cox holds the inside, but this time, oh, that was a great move around the outside from Xavier Martin. Can he hold it? I think he can. Peter Cox has to give the place away.
Yeah, he just drove around the outside, outbraked him. He went wide in the middle of the corner, but then had the inside for the following right-hander, so a well-executed move.
Wonderful stuff from them. Meanwhile, just interesting to see that the last, I think, to stop in this race looks like the Stefan Mucker Aston Martin. Just take another look at this, Danny.
There you go. Yeah, he gets it done quite early in the corner, and then already he's pulled out quite a big gap.
So, there we are watching further down the order. This is the battle for 11th place. Rafael Daniel. Right behind him, he's got the number 3 Nissan of Carl Wendlinger. Wendlinger looking pretty racy at the moment, hopping that Nissan over the curves just a touch. Well, I love to see the difference in styles of these cars. They're all in the same class, of course, but very different type of car. The Nissan GTR, taller, but nonetheless producing lots of horsepower from that V8 engine and going head-to-head with the Lamborghinis and all the other manufacturers represented here on this GT1 grid. Carl Wendlinger really enjoying himself there in the number 3 cars. He chases down that Lamborghini just ahead of him. Rafael Daniel, Brazilian driver who races a Lamborghini in Brazil, does some GT racing out there, and of course teamed up with Ricardo Zonta this weekend. So, things beginning to just settle down. Let's run through the order now that all the pit stops have taken place. Out in front, it is Andy Zuber in the number 13 Corvette, the car that has been pretty much out in front since the start of this race. In second place is the Ford GT of Thomas Mutch and Romain Grosjean after that brilliant stint to come up from 11th on the grid. In third place, the Maserati number 1, Michael Bartels and Andrea Bertolini. That is sitting in third position. Fourth position, the Xavier Martin Alex Muller Corvette. Then sitting in behind them is the Peter Cox Lamborghini car number 24. Next up behind them, it is the number 8 car of Christopher Nygaard and Stefan Mucker. That Aston Martin has been going well in this race. They've made up some good ground. Bas Leinders is sitting in 7th place in the Ford GT. In 8th place, it's Alex Margaritis. Here we've got a possible change in our hands as Carl Wendlinger now has got the inside line, and I think he, oh no, he can't brake late enough, can he?
Yeah, the Lamborghini Murcielagos look absolutely fantastic under the braking all weekend, and that's where its strength really is. And Wendlinger, he did have a look, but thought better of it.
Yeah, nearly had that chance, but just shows you that there's not much to choose between them. Some performance in areas where one car's better than the other. He's got a chance this time, and he's really timed that beautifully down the inside. Oh, he's outbraked himself a touch, and that's given an opportunity for them to fight back. But Rafael Daniel, in the end, in the Lamborghini, has to give way, and Carl Wendlinger has made it through.
Yeah, Rafael Daniel, I think for half a second there, he was thinking about race 2 and the important race where the points are probably more important than trying to do a risky move there.
All 4 Nissans are still pretty close to one another on track, though, aren't they? Wendlinger might have got ahead of the Lamborghini, but the other Nissan GTRs are all tucked in behind them. We've got Warren Hughes in the next one. He's chased by Michael Krum, the 2 Sumo Power cars with their Union Jacks emblazoned on the roofs. And then behind them is the other Nissan GTR of the Swiss racing team with the white and red colour scheme, and it's Seiji Ara, the Japanese driver, in that car at the moment. So, all running together. Another look at this, Danny.
Yeah, he locked up on the entry, didn't he? Went wide, he tried to cut back in the Lamborghini, did Daniel, but there was nowhere to go. The corner came up too quick and he had to tuck in behind.
We've got just under 20 minutes remaining in race 1 here of the GT1 World Championship from Abu Dhabi, and with a healthy advantage out in front at the moment. It is the Corvette of Andy Zuber, car he's sharing with Mark Canarisi, still being chased, but with an 8-second gap by the Ford GT of Thomas Mutch, car being shared with Romain Grosjean, who was so fast in that earlier stint. We're focusing on this battle just outside the top 10, and these guys all looking for grid positions for the championship race, of course. Carl Wendlinger now leads this little group in the red and white Nissan, and behind them we've got some more racing going on as well. Bas Leinders just going past See, though, I don't think that's battling for position. Oh, it is Peter Cox. So Cox must have slowed down quite a lot because Linders has gone past Cox, who was sitting in 5th place a moment ago. So I don't know what's happened, but he must have some troubles, I think. So that's really disappointing. Back with his teammate in the middle of this battle, Rafael Daniel. But Peter Cox, I think, Danny, must have some sort of problem.
Just looking at his lap times there, he did a 2:12.2, which is about 4 seconds off the pace at the moment. So, yeah, it looks like there's definitely a problem with that Murcielago.
Meanwhile, Warren Hughes is beginning to line up that Lamborghini. And Lamborghini ended up locking a brake there, but Warren wasn't quite able to take advantage. He's got right behind him. He's got to be careful because Michael Krum in an identical car. Oh, Warren got a bit sideways there over the curve. Big dose of opposite lock he had to throw on to keep him pointing in a straight line. But he managed to sort it out. And now into this tricky triple right-hander. We've seen a couple of cars off here in free practice. So far, so good as they all make their way through safely. Rafael Daniel doing a good job here. He's driving a defensive line, but he's not doing anything outrageous. He's just making it hard for them to pass.
Yeah, this is the slow speed sector 3, all second, first gear corners, very difficult to overtake unless you make a mistake. Into the final corner now, this is second gear, late turn in, late apex, let it run wide over the curb and back across the start-finish straight, and he's pulled another 3 car lengths there, so he won't be bothered into turn 1.
This is good stuff. I'm enjoying this because the guys behind, of course, hoping that Warren Hughes makes a move and gets through so that they have a chance to do it, but they've got to sort of wait until Warren Hughes has either got past or made a mistake to be able to take advantage of it. There's the number 23 version being driven by Michael Krum. He's sharing that car, of course, with Peter Dumbreck. Very strong driver lineups in both of these Superpower GT cars. And, oh, there is a little mistake indeed from Warren, was there?
Yeah, he went in too deep there, went wide in the corner. Teammate having a look down the inside. And, yeah, he's lucky. It just looks to me like that Nissan GTR sliding around a little bit now, so maybe he took the best out of those Michelin tyres. He's getting a bit of oversteer.
Yeah.
And he's dropped back now from the Lamborghini.
But look down in the cockpit. I don't know whether he's adjusting brake balance. But meanwhile, right behind, Seiji Ara fancies a chance at getting past Michael Krum. Don't take each other off, boys. That would be embarrassing. And look how Krum actually gives him space. They are so careful. They do not want to take each other off, and yet they still want to retain their positions.
Yeah, well, just look how much time they've lost being complete gentlemen, shall we say. And, yeah, those guys need to work together now to catch that Lamborghini. They're just holding each other up at the moment.
Yeah, it's not helping their cause. And the Lamborghini's been given a little bit of a rest for a lap or so. Carl Wendlinger's sort of pulled away from the Lamborghini in his Nissan, but these three are still hard at it at the moment. Seiji Ara had an opportunity, but neither he nor Michael Krum were as super aggressive as they might have been if they'd been racing against an opposition manufacturer. They don't want to cause any problems to these 4 Nissan GTRs. They want to be well placed for the championship race later on today, of course. Let's just remind you, with 16 minutes to go, that it's a Corvette leading. Andy Zuber at the wheel, a Ford GT in second place with Thomas Much. The Maserati MC12 of Michael Bartels is sitting in third place. Xavier Marson in the number 11 Corvette. That's sitting in 4th position. Christopher Nygaard is in 5th position with Stefan Mucker's Aston Martin. And then we've got Bas Linders in a Ford GT. Peter Cox dropped down to 7th, but he's still going. He's still not lapping very fast, though. 2 minutes 13 last time around. There's our race leader, though, Andy Zuber. Let's go and hear from the man who was driving it earlier, Mark Canarisi.
Mark, yourself and Andy have been staying ahead of the traffic once again.
Once again, sorry.
You've been staying ahead of the traffic once
Yeah.
again out there.
Well, I got a hit in the first corner in the first lap, and I thought something was broken, but everything was okay. And then I could go my speed, and suddenly I saw the Ford. It was so quick, and then we decided to come in because we have some new tires for right now for Andy, and we made a very good pit stop. So we are now in front, and I'm hoping that we are staying there. But there's another 50 minutes we have to go, so let's wait and see what happens right now.
Thank you, Mark.
Looking good for them at the moment, isn't it? They're comfortably in front. Just depends on good reliability. Oh, we've got a problem there for the number 38 Lamborghini. That's pulled off. That's the Nicky Pastorelli Dominic Schwager car. And they had an extra pit stop a minute for some problem, I think. So it looks as though it's all over for them. And that's a great disappointment, but that's the way it goes. And they'll have to focus on the championship race later on today.
Yeah, a little bit of movement, second and third place. Bertolini in third place is taking about 8/10 a lap out of P2. Thomas Much at the minute. He was 5 seconds behind. He's got it down to 4. 14 minutes left, and I think that's going to be the battle to watch in the coming laps.
Yeah, I think you're right. Yes, it is Bertolini in the Michael Bartel's Maserati now. Bertolini and Bartels who've been so successful together in recent years. Look, that's how quickly Bertolini's been catching. You look at the graphic, 8/10 on lap 19, another 6/10 on lap 18 before that. He is gaining very quickly. There in the background you can see the turquoise and black Maserati. That's how close he is now to the back of the Ford GT, and that will be for second place, remember. Meanwhile, behind them is the other Corvette that's not playing a part because they're too far down after starting from pit lane. That's Mike Hazelman's in his Corvette. Well, he's still, it's not as if he's not in it at all, but he is well down. He's in 17th position on board with Andrea Bertolini. Took over from Michael Bartels a little while ago, of course, and now he's got in his sights that Ford GT.
Yeah, he's on the back straight now, out of turn 10, coming up to turn 11. You'll see him move over to the right-hand side, pick a braking point. You can see what gear he's in. First gear, very slow speed, left-right chicane, using a huge amount of curves. This corner at 16 is adverse camber as we swap over to the Nissan battle.
Yeah, still there, still racing hard, these guys. Still it's Warren Hughes ahead of Michael Brum and Seiji Ara. Still nothing to choose between them. And Carl Wendlinger, he's got that break on them because he managed to get past the Lamborghini number 25 car of Zonta and Rafael Daniel. So, no change there at the moment. They're still sitting with Hughes in 13th place, Krum in 14th place in car number 23, and in 15th place the number 4 machine of Seiji Ara. We've lost the number 38 car as we saw, so that should bring actually the Mike Hazelman's Andrea Piccini Corvette, which started from the pit lane. It should bring them back up into 16th place, so it certainly was well worth them starting from the pit lane. They will get a better grip position. Still these guys racing hard. Still Seiji Ara wants to find a way through, but it's surely not going to happen on the outside in an identical car. No, it isn't. He slots in behind once again.
Bertolini's just took another half a second out of Thomas Mush on that last lap.
Yeah, so we've still got a race on for second place. Meanwhile, the race leader, the yellow Corvette, has opened the gap up to 10 seconds. Really looking comfortable for the leading Corvette, the Phoenix Racing Machine, with Andy Zuber at the wheel currently, doing a fantastic job. And the rest of these guys still fighting hard as they come around. In fact, Ricardo Zonta and the Zonta Rafael Daniel Lamborghini still protecting its position very effectively. There's Jamie Campbell-Walter out of the Nissan that he's sharing with Warren Hughes, and watching this battle, no doubt, just hoping that they might be able to get past that Lamborghini and go on a chase of some better grid positions. Let's just look at those positions as they stand now. 11 minutes to go. Henrici and Andy Zuber. Andy Zuber in the car at the moment, lead this race. Second place, Thomas Much. Third for Andrea Bertolini in the Maserati. Fourth place, the other Corvette, and Xavier Marson. And then in fifth place, the Aston Martin of Christopher Nygaard. Bas Linus in sixth place. Alex Margaritis in the Maserati, seventh. Then in eighth position, Frederic Makovici in one of the Hexis Aston Martins. Peter Cox has come into the pits now in his ailing car. He's been going slowly, hasn't he, over the last few laps. And Peter Cox has now brought that car into the pits, and that's a great disappointment, dropping him down the grid for the championship race, of course. That will bring Clivio Piccioni in his Aston Martin up into ninth position, making his debut in GT racing. And there is our race leader, Andy Zuber, just looking after the car, not pushing it too hard now, Danny, because he's just protecting that 10-second lead.
Yeah, I think the team are keeping him aware of how long's left, his gap that he's got, and yeah, he's just controlling the lead at the moment, looking after those Michelin tyres, and he's got a 9.9 second gap over P2.
There
Thomas
is P2, yeah.
And the gap to P3, Andrea Bertolini, is 3.7, so in fact Bertolini lost 2/10 to Mush on that final lap.
So having closed up for lap after lap, there's just one lap there where maybe things are beginning to balance out again, and maybe that Maserati is not catching the four quite so quickly. Meanwhile, in fourth place, it's this car, some way behind that battle, Xavier Marson at the wheel of his Corvette. Behind him, little gap back to Christopher Nygaard. There he is in the Aston, the young driver Aston Martin that Stefan Mucker was driving earlier on. There's the Bas Linus Ford GT in sixth place. Then it's the Alex Margaritis, car number 33, the Maserati, shared with Alfred Hager. And then in eighth place, Frederic Makovici in this Aston Martin, remember this car spun out at the start of the race. It's a good run this from Makovici to sort of make up for the spin that Philippe Dumas had in the early stages of the race. And Makovici's been pretty impressive, hasn't he, so far this weekend? Put it on the front row in qualifying, and here we are sitting on board with him now. Let's see how he's getting on.
Yeah, out of turn 3, high-speed corner, letting it run out wide over the curbs, picking a braking point, down into second, again into first now. Back over to the right. This is the really important hairpin. First gear, try and get a good exit as much as you can. Let's see, any oversteer? Tiny little bit. He's fed the power nice and gently there, up through the gears and down the back straight.
So he's doing well. Useful grid position on offer to him. Meanwhile, Warren Hughes in number 22 still finding a way of keeping Michael Krum behind him and Seiji Ara behind him, but then Krum takes a dive down the inside, and I think he got through. Yes, he did. Michael Krum just snatching the inside line off from Warren Hughes, and despite them being teammates, he was through.
Is that the same gentleman driver we saw a few laps ago, giving the other car a lot of room? That was a no-holds-barred move, wasn't it?
It was, yeah. No, that was an aggressive move. I think he felt, right, that's it, time to get on with this. Warren Hughes having a little look at getting it back. Oh, don't slide into your teammate. That would have been disastrous. Thankfully, he just about gathered it together.
Yeah, and it gives the Japanese driver Seiji Ara a go at Warren Hughes now. In fact, they're side by side.
Seiji Ara moves to the outside then. Warren Hughes with the lights ablaze, but he's lost one. He might lose 2 places here in the battle of the Nissans. Nissan all running to get... Look at the brake dust coming off the Michael Krum's car. That's interesting. Keep an eye on that as well. But Warren Hughes just about holding off, fending off Seiji Ara, using all the tricks in the book that he's learnt over his accomplished career. Warren Hughes, a Formula Ford champion of the past, a very rapid Formula 3 racer, of course. Nowadays, a real all-rounder. He's been a touring car racer in the past. He can jump out of a prototype into a GT1 car, whatever he gets into. Very professional, very fast. But right now, he's got to keep an eye on his mirror because Seiji Ara wants that position.
Yeah, very busy week for Warren. He was at Paul Ricard last weekend for the Le Mans Series. This weekend, he's in a very different car, the Nissan GTR. But to me, it looks as if he's struggling for grip on that car. It's sliding around a lot, and he's having to work very hard to keep the Japanese driver, Ara, behind him.
Yeah, so still a little way to go. Just under 7 minutes remain. Out in front, it's still the Corvette of Andy Zuber with a gap of 9.4 seconds, controlling the gap. He's probably backed off his pace just a little bit. The best of the new tyre has gone as well, of course. For all these guys, they changed tyres at the pit stop, but the best of the tyre has now been worn away, and they're now into that sort of fairly consistent phase. These Michelins holding up well over the entire stint. All the cars on the same Michelin tyre as well, so no difference between the different manufacturers. And Jamie Campbell-Walter there, just giving a nod to the camera. He's seen Warren lose 1 place. He's hoping against hope they don't lose another one, because it all means another position on the grid lost for the championship race. And look at Krum. He's managed to get away a little bit, hasn't he, over the last lap or so?
Yeah, that's good news for him. He's got 10 car lengths there. And it's Warren Hughes that's struggling for grip, quite clearly under a huge amount of pressure now from the sister car. Can he keep him behind into this chicane? He goes defensive.
So sumo power for Warren Hughes, the team. Oh, and he gets a bit slidey into the braking area. And again, he lost ground, but he just about gets it back again. My goodness, Seiji Ara really thought he had the chance to get in that time. But once again, Warren Hughes fending him off. Now Seiji Ara moves to the outside. He's going to have another go at getting past in that Swiss racing entry. Ara, all the experience he's got, the 35-year-old, really wants this place. Can he go around the outside? Don't hit each other, boys. Oh, he's swept around the outside. Great stuff. Good driving by both of them. And look at the delight. Want to talk about team rivalry? They are delighted that he's got past there. Seiji Ara has managed to find a way past, and he is now ahead of Warren Hughes.
Yeah, that was a great move down into turn 11. Very, very close under braking, but they just managed to give each other enough room to negotiate the chicane. And Warren, he doesn't like that, does he? He's not giving up.
No, absolutely not. He will fight all the way. He always gives it 100%, whatever car he's in. Take us through this again, Danny.
Yeah, around the outside, very, very brave from the Japanese driver. Warren gave him enough room, but yeah, executed the move, and it's a quick change of direction. There's no way of getting him back.
So Seiji Ara has raced extensively in Japan, of course, and has won at Le Mans in the past, but that was in a prototype. This is very much in a GT1 car, but he has raced the GTR over the last season or so in the Super GT series in Japan. He knows what he's playing with here.
Bertolini's got the gap to Mush now down to 2.7 seconds, so they're closing up with 4 minutes remaining, and that's Xavier Masson out of the car.
Ah, now that's a bit of a blow. That car was sitting in 4th position. So what has happened? That is a big blow for them. They were looking at a really good qualifying slot for the championship race there. Doesn't look as though that's going to happen. And Xavier Masson walks away from his presumably stricken Corvette. Let's take a look. Oh, a lot of smoke from the engine coming there, Danny.
Yeah, it looks as if that engine's given up the ghost with 3 minutes left. And there's another car.
Well, that's his same car, isn't it? That is his car. That's his stricken Corvette. So sadly, that one is out. We lost the other one earlier on. Remember, the other mad prop car. That was the car involved in the accident. So that's bad news for the team. Both cars in trouble. Short time to go before the championship race. 3.5 minutes to go in this one. Yellow lights flashing down at that area. There's the second placed Ford GT of Thomas Much. And as you say, the gap back to Andrea Bertolini in that Vitaphone Maserati hasn't changed so much. It's maybe just come down a little bit, but not much. And it doesn't look as though Bertolini's going to quite be able to challenge in what we've only got 3 minutes left.
Yeah, 3 minutes left. He might be able to close the gap down, but trying to get past him will be another matter.
Now, the problems that have just stricken the Xavier Masson car certainly helped the Aston Martin of Christopher Nygaard. The car he's sharing with Stefan Booker. They're up to 4th now, and that really is a good effort because they didn't qualify particularly well, but they've moved right up the order. So that's been a good result for them. They've stayed out of trouble. We're still riding with Andrea Bertolini here.
Yeah, Muka up from 20th on the grid. Great effort from that team.
Yeah, so they really have gained a lot from this race, and that's the interesting aspect of having a system where your race position in this one will qualify you on the grid for the championship race itself. Still sitting in behind him is the other yellow Corvette, which has been fast throughout the race, but of course has to start from pit lane. Andrea Piccini's sitting in 16th place in that car. As Thomas Much comes through, lights ablaze on the Ford. And the Martech team, I'm sure, will be delighted with this run, having started back on the 5th row of the grid, 6th row of the grid, in fact it was, with this car. That sterling effort from Romain Grosjean in the early stages to sweep up to 2nd place. Didn't quite manage to snatch the lead, but they have looked very, very solid. No doubt the leader has backed it off a little bit up front. The gap has come down to 7 seconds now between this car and the race leader. But Thomas Much just looking after it now and hoping that it'll be in good shape for the second race, the championship race. So it looks as though this is going to be the final lap. As soon as 60 minutes are up, then as the cars cross the line, the checker flag will be waiting. We're on to that last lap now, and it is Andy Zuber who leads with just 1 lap of this Yas Marina circuit to go. Riding back on board with Andrea Bertolini, and it looks as though these guys are going to settle for 3rd place, and it'll still be a very useful starting position for the championship race.
Yeah, just exiting turn 3 now. Looks very, very smooth with the car. Doesn't look like he's pushing it really hard, just saving those tyres, looking after the tyres on this final tour. First gear through the chicane, still taking a good amount of curb. Here's the hairpin. Good exit required out of 7. Long 1.2 kilometre straight now. Just time for him to loosen his belts, relax for a second.
Yeah, and sort of wind it all down a little bit as they are on this final lap. And no doubt that's what Andy Zuber will be doing as well. And for Andy Zuber, this is going to be a pretty exciting time for him. Very much a single-seater racer. Formula Renault, Formula 3 in Europe for a couple of years. Went on to win a race in the World Series in 2005. Raced GP2 between 2006 and 2009 for teams like Trident and iSport. Had a couple of wins in GP2. He was a test driver for Honda and Super Aguri in 2007, but now he's made that big switch into GT1, and he seems to have taken to it like a duck to water. He has been superb. He took pole position in the short qualifying session that we had here yesterday. His teammate Mark Enerisi did a wonderful first stint in this race, handed the car over to him in the lead. Andy Zuber, well, he's just gone for it on that new set of tyres, set a very quick lap once he was out there, and he's now just controlled the advantage that he's had. We're on board with him now in the sunshine, the heat, and he might be feeling a bit warm inside that cockpit without the benefit of air flowing over him, but he won't care, because in the first ever GT1 World Championship qualifying race, race 1 of the weekend, it is Andy Zuber and Corvette that take the victory. An accomplished win by Andy Zuber. Zuber and Mark Henrici for Phoenix Racing. They win by 2.2 seconds in the end from Thomas Much and Romain Grosjean in the Martech Ford GT. And third place goes to the Maserati #1 of Andrea Bertolini and Marc Bartels. Those three cars will score points in the championship. The first points to be scored in this new World Championship. But of course the main points are on offer in the race later today. 8 points going to the winner in this one, 6 points to second, 4 points to third, and later on today it'll be 25 points for the win. Coming through in fourth place, and this is one of the stories of the race, Christopher Nygaard sharing that Aston Martin with Stefan Mucker, coming from way down on the grid. Coming through in fifth position, we're expecting, no, it's a change on the last lap, and Margaritis got fifth on the last lap. He got past the Ford GT of Bas Linders, so a change on the last lap for fifth. Bas Linders in the Ford finishes in sixth place. Seventh place is Fred Lakavici in the Aston Martin, and then it looks as though in eighth place it's going to be Clivio Piccioni in his Aston Martin, as the top three cars slow it all down and just celebrate the fact that they have started off very, very effectively their campaign in this year's World Championship. But it's still the important race to go here in Abu Dhabi, the championship race. They will start up front. Pole will go to that yellow car for the second time. They have earned that position through this race, but they'll be joined on the front row by the #5 Ford GT, and we'll just have to see how well they get on. And it will be same drivers actually who are in the cars now who will be starting that second race. So Andy Zuber, who's just taken victory here, he'll be the one to start from pole position, and Thomas Grosch will start from the front row with him. Great performances from Frederic Makavici, managing to bring that Aston Martin up the order into seventh, despite the spin for his teammate Philippe Dumas on the opening lap. So I think they'll be well pleased with that, and it's earned them a decent grid slot again, despite losing out on what was a front row start originally. And of course some stories of not such great happiness. Of course we saw several cars in trouble right at the start of this race, all as a result of an incident into the first corner when Miguel Ramos lost control of his Maserati. That car ended up in the pits, and they're still working on it, of course. We lost Darren Turner and Thomas Enger as a result of that. Mika Salo's Corvette was also out as a result, and Matteo Bobby and Bert Longin also, sadly, out of the race right at the start, so they'll be starting from the back of the grid in the championship race. But there's been no doubt about, really, I think, Danny, if you had to choose a star of that race, not going to be too difficult to decide who it is it?
Yeah, I think it's got to be Romain Grosjean. Great first stint, and also Stefan Mucker dragging the Aston Martin up from 20th on the grid. So two great performances there.
Yeah, excellent indeed, and that's what we want to see, that sort of battling up through the field. Everybody just beginning now to get a bit more idea of which cars are working well. We knew the Corvette was a fast car. It always has been. I mean, this car's been around in its in a similar form really since the end of the 90s. Through the 2000s, it's been an incredibly quick car, and here we are in 2010, and it takes the first win in the GT1 World Championship. That's got to be one for the record books, and they will be delighted at Phoenix Racing as a result of that performance. And for young Andy Zuber there, making that switch over from single-seaters to GT. 26 years old he is, the Austrian, and well, I think he has shown that he can adapt and be a driver, an all-round style driver who can get into a car with high downforce and be fast, and now a car with low downforce, still lots of power, some 600 to 650 horsepower in that Corvette, and he's dealt with it beautifully all weekend and come home with a pretty convincing victory, no doubt about it at all. But the Ford GT of Martech, a real boost to the team, having suffered that horrific accident for Natasha Gatchang in qualifying yesterday. Real morale boost for the Martech team. That stunning drive from Romain Grosjean, backed up solidly by Thomas Much, and then that third place from Andrea Bertolini and Michael Bartels, which was wonderful as well. So Haley is down there, she's going to try and grab Andy. Let's see if we can get a word from him as everyone congratulates him.
Woo! Congratulations, Andy. Congratulations, what a great start to the season for you.
Yeah, great. Now we need to know, we need to see what's going to happen in the main race. We try our best, and then we will see.
What was the big challenge out there for you today?
It's very hot. The car was difficult to drive in my stint. A lot of oversteer. But I had a good gap, so it was okay. Yeah.
Congratulations.
Thank you.
Yeah, so interesting to hear that, Danny. So he wasn't quite as easy as he made it look.
No, that's right, but I think looking at the lap times, they were very, very quick throughout the race, and there's his teammate congratulating him, and they pick up fastest lap as well, 2 minutes 7.1 on lap 13, so quite clearly nothing wrong with the pace or setup of that car.
No, very impressive indeed, as you say. So good effort by both drivers. They both delivered superbly well. Mark stayed out of trouble at that first corner when Miguel Ramos made that slightly, well, he made a mistake basically going into that first corner. He managed to avoid the Maserati as it spun off. Other cars did get involved. There's a big smile on the face of Andy Zuber. And there's Romain Grosjean, also a very, very strong race from him, of course. And
Congratulations, Romain. Congratulations, Thomas. How was race 1 for you?
Oh, it was very good. Romain did an excellent job, so I had some gap to the Maserati on P3, so I just needed to hold a little bit and control. Was very well. Team did a great job after the hard winter. A lot of work, and I'm very, very happy.
And Romain, an exciting performance from you as well.
Well, yes, you know, it's a teamwork, and it was very important to get the first good lap, and then doing good race, and then giving the car in a good shape for Thomas. And well, we are in a very, very good position for race 2, which is the championship race, and we see what's going on.
Thank you, guys.
So Thomas Much on the left, he's also the operations manager for that team, so he's very involved in the whole setup, the team based in Geneva, and successful in the past. They won the FIA GT3 European Team Championship in 2008. They were second in 2009 with a class victory at Spa. It's a very well organised professional team, and that's been a superb start to the season. Here's the result then of the first race. Zuber and Henrici winning the race in the Corvette by 2.2 seconds from Much and Grosjean in the Ford GT. Bertolini and Bartels third in the Maserati, followed by Nygaard and Mucker in the Aston Martin. Margaritis and Hegger claimed 5th place on the last lap in their Maserati ahead of Leinders and Martin in the Ford GT. Makovici did well to get the Aston into 7th after Philippe Dumas spun earlier on. Further down the order, the other Hexis Aston Martin finishing in 8th place of Cliffio Piccioni and Jonathan Hershey. In 9th place, the first of the Nissans, Carl Wendlinger, managing to get past the Lamborghini of Ricardo Zonta and Rafael Daniel, but the other Nissans got a bit stuck behind. KG Ara finished in 12th place. Warren Hughes finished behind that in 13th position. Behind those guys then we moved down to those who really were a little bit out of luck, because finishing in classified in 14th place was Xavier Marcin and Alex Muller, but that Corvette didn't make it to the finish. It looked like an engine failure, so hopefully they can get that changed in time. Peter Cox was also out of luck in his Lamborghini, classified 15th, but the car was out of the race. Mike Hazemans and Andrea Piccini in their Corvette finishing in 16th despite starting from the pits. The car seems to be running well. Hopefully they're over the problems they've had this weekend, and behind them the Pastorelli Schwager car, followed by Jaeger and Bassing. Then as we got down to the bottom of the list, the number 37 Lamborghini of Jaeger and Bassing, then the number 41 Ford of Renault Coupens, and then down at the bottom cars involved in that earlier incident, of course, including the Maserati of Bernoldi and Miguel Ramos. So that's how the first race finished, and now a little bit of a gap, but not that long, because they've got to prepare these cars for the championship race coming up a little bit later on this evening, due to start at 7:45 local time. They've got 2.5 hours to get these cars back together and prepared to start from the championship race. So third place finish for the number 1 Vitaphone Maserati of Bartels and Bertolini. Second place and an exciting drive for the number 5 Ford GT of Romain Grosjean and Thomas Much. But the race 1 winners, no question about it, starting from pole position and dealing with all problems at the start of the race into turn 1, Mark Henrici and Andy Zuber have taken the first victory of the season. They've earned 8 points, but perhaps even more importantly, they have claimed pole position for the championship race and their chance to win 25 extra points later on this afternoon. So it's been an entertaining first encounter, and the crowd now no doubt settling down to enjoy the fun and games leading to the next race. Let's go and hear from Michael Bartek of Martek Racing.
Martin, congratulations. What a great result for the team.
Thank you. Yes, a great result. Thinking about 2 years ago when the story started and Stefan came to me with the idea of launching the GT1 World Championship, having been through all those 2 years where people were very skeptical about whether it would happen at all, well, here we are, and here we are gathering the first points of this championship, which I think will see a bright future. Thank you for Stefans, thank you for the FIA also for having organized this in this way. Thank you for our partner Sintes, which has been following us for the past 3 days. Well, everything is fine except, yeah, the sad incident with Natasha yesterday, but I might repeat that she's fine, and I hope that she will recover very soon. We are awaiting you, Natasha, very soon to join the team again.
And thank you, Martin.
Thanks.
Thank you, Hayley. Yes, and indeed 4 different makes of car in the top 4 places in that race, and that's absolutely what GT1 World Championship is about, Danny, getting those different brands represented, and it's proving to be fairly open at the moment.
Yeah, and we saw in qualifying that apart from the pole man, who was a second clear, between 2nd on the grid and 17th on the grid, there was only 1 second covering those cars.
Work going on the Enrique Benoldi Miguel Ramos car. That was the car that involved in that spin right at the start of the race and had damage to the back end. Mechanics obviously been working on, at least they got that car back, and therefore they've been able to get on with it, and hopefully they'll have it repaired in time for the start of the championship race. But of course it will be starting pretty much at the back, not quite last, but about 4 places up from the back of the grid. So plenty of work to do for Enrique Benoldi when he gets behind the wheel a little bit later on. But that's what this series is all about. It's one single class. They're all racing against one another. We've seen a Corvette win the first race of the day, a Ford finish in 2nd, a Maserati in 3rd, and Aston Martin in 4th place. 4 big brands, 4 different brands in the top 4 places. Maserati next up once again with that Alfred Hager run car. Let's take a little look back over some of the highlights. Cars weren't all ready to start from the grid, particularly the Mike Hazelman's Corvette, but as the race got underway, it was a pretty clean start across the line. It all went a little bit wrong though as they headed down into the first corner. The lights went green and it was the Miguel Ramos Maserati going down on the inside there that just lost control under braking. Managed to be avoided by a lot of cars, but then from the back round come a couple more and they made contact with one another. That took out the number 7 Aston Martin of Thomas Enger. Miguel Ramos himself did manage to limp back to the pits and get the team starting to work on the car. Safety car was therefore on circuit for a few laps as the race restarted. Mark Henrici in that yellow Corvette, who'd stayed out of trouble, managed to ease away up front. Behind him, the other Corvette was going well, the Xavier Marson car, but also looking to make some moves pretty early on was Alfred Hager. He was enjoying himself in his Maserati and managed to squeeze past Stefan Mucker. After that, Stefan Mucker himself was on a bit of a charge, but meanwhile there was some great racing going on, particularly between the Nissans further down the pack. Michael Bartels then found himself under pressure from Romain Grosjean, and Grosjean wasn't stopping there. He was easing past as many cars as he could in his challenge to get a podium finish. Meanwhile, there are other fighting going on further down between Aston Martin and Nissan as Jonathan Hershey found himself embroiled in that particular tangle. Romain Grosjean was the guy to watch at this early stage of the race, though. He was really pushing on, putting in some very fast laps indeed. Henrici, though, was still leading in the Corvette as we got towards the pit stop time. Changes further down. It was all around that sort of top 10 position that we were watching a lot of this particular battling. Henri Moser, who was driving the number 3 Nissan at that time, battling with Raphael Daniel. Well, Grosjean continued on his charge. He left it until a little later than some of the others to make his pit stop and used that clear air very effectively indeed to close up on the race leader. But the yellow Corvette, after the pit stops, managed to stay in front. Henrici had done sufficient that when Andy Zuber took over on his new tyres, he was able to put in some very quick laps himself. We then saw some great racing between the Nissans. Seiji Ara managed to squeeze his Swiss Racing Nissan past the Sumo Power car, but up front there were no problems at all for Andy Zuber, who stroked it home, let the gap drop. He had a 10-second lead at one point. He let it drop down to 2¼ seconds by the flag. That didn't matter. All that mattered was the first win of the season for the Phoenix Racing Corvette, 2nd place to the Ford GT of Martech Racing, and 3rd place to the Vitaphone Maserati of Andrea Bartolini and Michael Bartels. So victory for Andy Zuber. He will start on pole position later on today for the championship race. We'll see you.